Nice rack. Thank you. It's a 12 point. Like you didn't see that coming. Mine's a 2 point, by the way. Okay, people, welcome. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight I'm taking a look at Hasbro's Marvel Legends Thor Ragnarok, Loki and Hela. Now, I just received the whole case, and out of everybody that came in that box, these two are the two I was most excited about. Loki, because I skipped him back in the Avengers days, that first figure way back. I don't remember what my bullshit excuse was back then to skip him because I ended up with all the heroes. I guess I thought I'm only grabbing the heroes, I'm keeping my spending down. Loki, I'm not invested in the movies yet. I like a couple of them, but then I actually saw Avengers, and that's when it all exploded, and I could never find a Loki for a good price. So this makes up for that. Plus, we're getting that face tech stuff going on now, which I'll talk about here in a minute. Now, for Hela, I skipped on the San Diego box set that had the comic version of this character. So really, when it comes down to it, and looking at it right now, this could pull double duty. But I'm more of an MCU fan at this point. Over the years, I don't know what happened. I read less comics, I watched more movies. And yeah, it has its faults. It has its, quirks here and there, but I still love it. And this being a movie character, she looks badass in the new trailers. Had to have her. Now, looking at the packages, it's the standard Marvel Legends box. Here we go into this. I mean, if you watch any of my reviews, this is on autopilot right now. Standard looking box for the Marvel Legends. Big window, shows everything you get except for maybe the feet. Still better than a lot of packages I've been looking at lately. I like the light blue motif of the package for the Thor series. Even though Loki's wearing blue, that's throwing me off. Not having green on him, I don't know. But maybe it's because of the Hulk leg. They're trying to get contrasting colors. And then Hela, she looks huge in the package. Her feet go down to here, and then she's definitely taller than Loki. I can't wait to compare her to somebody else. And then that face printing tech. Oh, ooh, On the side of the packages, we get definitely a movie picture of Loki. I'm not quite sure if that's a movie picture, if it's CGI or drawn somehow, but again, looks great. On the back, the pretty pictures of both Loki and Hela, their bios off to the side, the rest of the waves. Still, I say it every time, I love these half-wanted picture looks to the other figures on the back. Got the Build-A-Figure Gladiator Hulk. Then down here you have the warnings, the unreadables. Probably says something like, don't put these figures too close to each other on the shelf. Your shelf can only handle so much assholishness, or evil, or whatever word you want to use. Loki, I don't think of it as evil. That's another discussion. We'll get into that. On the other side, same pictures as the other. On the top, Thor hammer logo. On the bottom, legalese and barcodes. So I'm going to get these open because I'm damn excited. And I'm going to see what's going on here. Okay, for Hela, her package... I like that Hulk arm. For her package, she has her big horns sticking up and out. Actually out at the back of the plastic bubble. So is her cape. That easy enough to get off, but I am not pulling that through there without cutting. And if you aren't allowed sharp weapons for whatever reason, go out the back of the package. It's easy enough to just slide her through that hole. It's way better than trying to get her big ass antler rack through the front of it. Unless you're cutting. If you're cutting, disregard all this. And there we go, all out of the package. And I have to say, this continues the trend of my love affair with the MCU figures. But before we get any further, let me just say that I grabbed a whole case of these, actually, from Dorkside Toys. I've been getting all my Marvel Legends from them. I haven't been disappointed yet. It's awesome. In fact, the case that they sent this in was inside another box covered in bubble wrap, and it showed up quick. You can't complain about service like that. So if you're looking for Marvel Legends or anything else, go hit up Dorkside Toys. They have what you're looking for. First up, we'll get into Hela. All new sculpt like most MCU figures. They have a dedicated sculpt just for that character. And here, there's texture all over, except right up at the shoulders. The skin tones stick out because it's really smooth, but against everything else, there's kind of a carbon fiber to the black. All over, it's an interesting figure to just look and see new things and get down to the nitty-gritty of it. Even though the paint is a little bit flat, it's the texture that really brings it out here. So I guess they thought, well, the skin tone can just be flat, the black can just be a flat black, really. The green is a little bit metallic, it sticks out, which I guess is what they were going for here. I have no complaints about that. It looks good. It's just odd to see no paint washes on it at all. And then get up to the head here that came on it in the package. It's a very elaborate piece, and I dig this head. This is just eye-catching. It's complicated, it's nice to look at and follow all the lines around and everything. And then the paint on it, it's a little heavy around the eyes, and then it kind of fades. I don't know if that was on purpose. I don't know if that's how the movie actually is. And looking at it real close, it kind of looks like there's some dot to it, like they printed it on there. But I don't really think there's enough detail here to take that into account. And then looking really, really close, the lips are a little bit messy, kind of heavy in the middle, goes off to the left a little bit. But overall, great looking piece. And then get over to Loki, he's the same way. I mean, it's essentially all new sculpt all over. The armor pieces are nice and sharp. It kind of looks like cushioning on his arms. It's kind of a mattress material around. At least that's what it reminds me of. And then he gets down to the forearms and it's more of a wrap kind of look to it. But the armor plates over that look fantastic. It adds a lot of eye candy. The chest lines, the leg, we're used to this with Asgardian looks. And to get that captured in action figure form again, I love it. The blue is really throwing me. There is some green on the belt that kind of makes me think Loki, but the rest, it's growing on me as I'm messing around with the figure, but for the most part, it looks out of place. And then we get to the purple of the sleeves, and that's even, I'm not going to say worse, it takes me away from Loki even more. But it's still those villain colors, you know what I mean? The blue isn't just bright blue, it's that dark blue. And then purple, of course, is a classic villain color. So it's not terrible, it's just not what I think of when I think of Loki. Then get up to the head. Again, I think they scanned Hiddleston. It just comes across really well, even though his face seems a little bit small inside his head. Does that make sense? There's a lot of forehead going on here. I feel like the head's bigger than his face. But again, we're seeing the photo reel with the paint on the face. That's where they take a picture of the actor and essentially print the colors onto the action figure. It's been working great for the Guardians of the Galaxy and other figures that they've been using it on. It works great here. Of course, when you get up super close with the macro or just looking at it, you're going to see little blemishes here and there. In fact, on mine, in Loki's left eye, you can kind of see a scratch. But in person, looking at it right now, like I am in front of my face, I can't really see it. But when I look at the picture, yeah, it's there. Now looking at Hela, her hips are a little loose. And I say a little loose, this one's not, well, once I get it to that point. There's a point you can set it where it is loose, but you get it to another certain point and it's tight. So I don't know what's going on in there. The ball may just be a tad small for the socket. I don't know if everybody's is like that, but she kind of leans forward at the hips whenever you're trying to get it straight up and down. I haven't had her just flat out fall over on me. It just leans forward a little bit. If you look at the feet and line up the lines at the thigh swivel, her toes kind of kick into the middle. I don't like that too much. And then the shoulders are really, really tight, and because of that point coming out, I like the design of it. It hides the articulation a little bit. It makes the silhouette a little more streamlined. But if you just try to crank her arm up, you're going to scratch against that point right there, either scratching the paint or, like on this side, it actually catches the articulation and I can't lift it. I have to turn the arm up so that little hump right there is to the back and it won't snag on anything, and then I can articulate it and then bring it back around, and then it's under that little kick out right there. On Loki, like I said, huge forehead. It just kind of sticks out, but there is a saving grace here. We'll get to that. On top of that, the neck detents in the hinge right here are super tight. In fact, when I first got it out of the package, I thought it was frozen up. But once I got it moving, and now that I've moved it a little bit, it is a little bit easier to move, but yeah, really super heavy. And then there's the floating lower piece that's essentially his shirt coming below the belt. That is a loose piece, and I find myself pulling it down a lot because it rides up, and that just looks weird. Bringing it down, it looks great. You bring it up, it makes the arms look long because it moves the position of his waist in your eye. You know what I mean? You think it's way up here, the arms seem long, but you bring it down here, and then he's more in proportion. And then I think my only other big problem is this left hand. What is that? I don't know if that cooled in the package in the wrong position or what, but yeah, it looks like somebody shook his hand and then broke it. but maybe some heat will fix that. I'll try that later. Going over articulation, both have standard Marvel Legends articulation. There's a ball going up into the head with a hinge going down into the neck. She looks down. She looks up. Really great range of movement. Pretty good tilt. Then, of course, swivel. Hinge and swivel at the shoulder. Goes up to about 90. Then it swivels around. Hinge and swivel at the elbow. Goes to about 90 and then swivels. Hinge and swivel at the wrist. On the right wrist, the sword holding hand, she does have up and down, so I like that. And then it rotates. There's a ball joint in the mid-torso. She can get forward a little bit, back, side, side, and then there's rotation. The hips are on a ball joint, go up almost 90. It runs into the sculpt right there. Out about 45, a little past, and then back, not so much. Swivel at the thigh. Double knee pretty much comes all the way up. Hinge at the ankle, goes back, goes forward, and then the forward-facing pin for rocker. For Loki, ball joint going up into the head, hinge in the neck. Like I said, it's really hard to move. He can bury his chin in his chest. He can look up. Hair kind of gets in the way. Little bit of tilt, swivel. Hinge and swivel at the shoulder. The armor runs into the body, so he can't quite make 90, but pretty close. Swivels around. Swivel at the bicep, armor comes down and hides that. I like that. Double elbow comes all the way up. You can't get more than that. I mean, the wrist is touching the shoulder. Hinge and swivel at the wrist, hinge, swivel. Hinge in the torso, all the way over, all the way back. There's a swivel at the waist, and this is where the floating skirt piece comes in handy because it gets up and away from the articulation. It still looks weird, but you can't argue with the results because his leg comes all the way up, back that far, out. Pretty good. There's a swivel at the thigh. Double knee almost comes all the way up. Hinge at the ankle goes all the way back. Forward, good range of movement. They left that open right there. Very nice. And then forward-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, Hela comes with her cape. I'm calling it an accessory because it comes off. That's what it comes down to. And this looks pretty good. The sculpt is not too elaborate, but it makes it look like a cape. I like the wrinkles in it and such. The green with the kind of black wash, or the black with the green wash, whichever way it actually is, looks good. And then the metallic look up towards the neck. And to put that on, it's just a peg that goes in the top of her back, almost to her neck. And then you have these floaty pieces that come around, and this part that kind of comes up and covers the neck. I like this cape. It adds to the figure without sticking off, and it hangs nice. It's nice and flat. It sticks out a little bit, but it's not taking up any more real estate on the shelf. Her other accessory is her sword. A really elaborate sculpt here. There's nice little fine work all over the sword. But when it comes to paint, there's nothing. It's just a flat black molded in the color plastic for the sword. And then on top of that, very rubbery, very bendy. In fact, when I pulled it out, and it still is, you can see that it's not straight, and it's actually twisted too. So I'll also have to hit this with heat, try to straighten it out, cool it off, get it straight. And then finally is the Unmasked Head. Again, in the pictures, since they're so close up, you're going to see flaws here and there, but in person, it is scary how much this looks like Cate Blanchett. She's got some veining or some dirtiness to her forehead, kind of that evil look. The smirk is scary. The eyes are really well done. I love this technology. I want all my movie figures redone with this technology. And we'll probably have that chance with Avengers coming out next year, and then another Guardians of the Galaxy, which we already got phototech on those. So, yeah, I'm getting happier and happier by the day. To switch that out, her antlers or horns or whatever this is, it's a soft material, but I'm still kind of leery to go grab it and pull in too much. I try to grab from the front and back, get the head off, and then the other head pops on pretty good. Now her hair does fly out, and it does catch the cape here a lot. So if I'm using this head, I usually like to have the cape off. For Loki, I'm calling his cape an accessory too because I don't know how much I like it. Again, it drapes fine. It kind of has that short Robin look to it. And it has that bluish green color to it with the yellow on the inside. I guess that's why it reminds me of Robin too. Up at the top you get some armor pieces. It's a little bit more heavier on the left than it is the right, but it has that metallic look again to it to differentiate it from the cloth-like material of the cape. But I don't like the cape. At least I don't like how it was engineered, and that's with two pins going down on the shoulders. So you have to get up under the hair, try to match the pin to the holes, which the pins are a little bit floppy, and then you have to match the angle and then get it up down in there. In fact, I am surprised as hell I got that one in just now, because the other one, trying to get it in at the same time and matching up the hole and the angle and everything,
Well, I did it. Well, that's the first time that's happened. Of course, things always go better for me on camera in front of you guys. I'll gripe about something, and then suddenly it works. So, yeah, I look like an asshole. And then on top of that, the hair is sculpted to accommodate these armor pieces, so it looks better with these two pieces right here. My problem is the cape flares out where it throws off the center of balance of the figure really, really bad. You've got to kind of lean him forward for him to go back. And you see me holding this down because once I let go, it comes out of the peg on this side. I like the cape. I like the look. I like the armor pieces filling in where the hair is actually laying down, and it fills out the sculpt here because without the cape, it looks like it's a little bit empty right there. So what I'm going to end up doing is gluing those pegs into the body and then trying to heat it, trying to bring it closer to the body. Because like I said, I do like it. It just doesn't stay on. And again, this may just be mine. And then his other accessory is his helmet. Now in the package this looked really small. I thought there's no way in hell that's going on that head. But you put it on the head and it's almost like it's the missing piece to make this look like Loki. Don't get me wrong, I look at Hiddleston and I think Loki even without the horns. But for this figure, maybe it's because it's hiding the huge forehead or his face was made smaller to accommodate the helmet. But you put the helmet on, and it's the final piece of the puzzle. It looks fantastic. And to put that on, it just really slips over his head. I'm not sure if he wears it high or low, but I like to have it down close to the brow, kind of this point over the nose a little bit. And yeah, that is the finishing piece. I love it like this. And it's awesome that this works with the hair as it is. You would think they would have to cut a chunk out of the hair or something. Nope. You just slip it on. You got to turn it around the right way first. But once you get it on, there you go. I love it. For comparison, here they are with the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 Star-Lord. I think this was the Wave 2 Star-Lord. I can't remember that far back. But you can see Loki is slightly larger and Hela is majorly larger. So they're fitting that Asgardian scale in there somehow. Even though Loki's not as big as the rest, he's still bigger than the normal mortal. So at the end of the day, Hasbro knocks it out of the park again. Yes, they have their issues, but I love them so much. I love the photo real tech that they're using on the faces. I love that the MCU figures get their own dedicated sculpts. I can understand why comic people get a little bit upset, but what it comes down to, the movies are selling these action figures. The movies are throwing a spotlight on the characters themselves. All we can do as comic fans is just ride that wave. Yes, there's people going into the theater that don't understand the histories, don't know the creators, but it's just a big plus for everybody that does know that stuff, that are huge fans of that kind of stuff. And you may say most of the waves have MCU characters now, and that is true. So it's cutting into the comic characters a lot. But with Hasbro releasing 150 waves a year now, it still balances out to what we were getting when we were getting all comic waves with a few MCU characters here and there. It all works out, man. That's all it comes down to. We just got to ride it out. Because this is a huge bubble right now, and it could burst at any time. Enjoy it while we got it. Because once it does burst, and people lose interest in superheroes, we're going to see a decline in product. We won't see as much plastic, because there won't be the sales to back it up. You can hate on the MCU figures, you can hate on the comic characters, whichever you're a fan of, but just enjoy what you do get. Put aside everything else. It's figures like this that make the hobby fun for me. I've been playing around with Loki for an hour now, and I probably will be playing with him for the rest of the night. Hela has her problems. Yeah, the hips kind of suck the way they came out, but I may put a drop of super glue or nail polish or whatever else anybody is using these days to tighten that joint up, and then I'll be completely happy. The good thing about Hela here, if you really wanted to, you could use her as a comic stand-in. She's huge, she's detailed, but she still has that comic look to her. In fact, as much as I love the Cate Blanchett head, I love the photo real tech, I'm going to be using the horn head here. It's just too awesome to put in a box. And now I need to get around to Thor, because I'm interested in seeing how he compares to these two, and how good a figure he is. And then, of course, the Build-A-Figure Gladiator Hulk. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.